Hello, this is Damian Pardo, and welcome to the Forward Miami Show. You have to stay with us today because today we're going to be talking about money, green. And we have Marta Casa-Celaya with us. And minority owned businesses can qualify for certain grants thanks to Comcast. Marta, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Damon. Real pleasure to be here.
I've had the pleasure of working with you over the years, and I've been very impressed with all the good work Comcast has done in our community. I thought you could tell us a little bit about, well, yourself and then about Comcast and the program.
Absolutely. Thank you. The grandiose title is Director of External Affairs for Comcast. And I essentially oversee the interaction and the partnerships in Miami-Dade and Monroe counties. And that encompasses everything from the philanthropic aspect, also to the more policy-oriented advocacy aspects of the job. But I am pleased and fortunate to work with a number of wonderful community partners like yourself. And one of the things that we are also very pleased and proud to do is that we have a series we have always had. I know that DE&I is now the hot buzzword, but this company, I've now been with them over a decade, and and we have always focused on communities that are underserved and on elevating and uplifting those communities. So we approach our community affairs from the perspective of what can we as a company do with our expertise and our resources to elevate those in the community. And what we did during the pandemic, obviously it became pretty evident that there were many businesses, small businesses that were struggling mightily.
Marta, I think one of the key aspects here that you're actually really helping small minority businesses, and with inflation, with costs, of everything going up, life getting a little harder, certainly what you're providing, what you're offering is really very special.
Exactly. The program that we came up with was to target the diverse businesses owned by minority entrepreneurs. And they were statistically the businesses that suffered most during the pandemic. So there's a lot of data to support that. And in 2020, we launched the Comcast Rise program, which basically stands for representation, investment, strength, and empowerment. The first phase that we rolled out of that program was to provide small business owners with both tech support and marketing support. Under that, the marketing services involved things like helping them produce a TV spot, come up with a media campaign, come up with, specific advertising strategies that they would employ for their businesses. On the technology side, we provided them with equipment as well as services, kind of gave them an overview of what technology would benefit their businesses. But clearly that wasn't enough. About 6 months, a year into it, we then launched the Rise Investment Fund, which basically brings $1 million to communities. And what we do is provide $10,000 grants to diverse business owners who have businesses that have been established for a minimum of 3 years. They have a maximum of 25 employees. And also are, registered in the United States, independently owned, et cetera. We are very fortunate in Miami. We did the first round about this time last year. So we already have at least 100 businesses in Miami-Dade and Broward, because both Dade and Broward businesses are eligible. This year, the big deal is that we've opened it up for women. of any ethnicity or race. So we've amplified the pool of folks who can apply. The actual window, the application window, is going to open October 3rd. It will run from October 3rd to October 16th. So during that period, please, we encourage you to apply.
It's only 2 weeks then. Wow.
Yes, it is a 2-week period. We are working with lots of great community partners like Forward Miami, South Florida Hispanic Chamber, also the Miami-Dade Chamber, Catalyst Miami, the Allapattah Collaborative. We just have some really, really good grassroots partners that help us get the word out there, help get their clients involved, and help them to sign up as well. So we really encourage everyone to if you are eligible, please send in your application. If for some reason you're not eligible, keep in mind that the Technology and Marketing Fund is a year-round fund that you can apply for at any time. So if it's not the cash, perhaps it's the technical services that we can help you out with.
Yeah, through Forward Miami, which produces this show, which supports this show, and also produces the Gay Ocho Festival and the Forward Gala, we had a lot of exposure to a lot of the merchants in Little Havana, and that was challenging and interesting, and so I got a much greater appreciation of your job, because Miami is so diverse and it's so complicated, sometimes. I mean, I remember I had people on the street merchants that came out and said, but I can't qualify, and I'm like, what do you mean you can't qualify? They said, oh, because it said on the website, it said people of color, and I'm not a person. I mean, just the language and the labels and trying to get to the right people, especially folks that aren't culturally assimilated to this country, because they don't understand grants, and they don't understand getting anything for free, like from anywhere in that sense. So I think your job is difficult, and I'm really glad, because you're doing it the right way. I know you changed a lot of the language, and you understand Miami-Dade County and South Florida in general, and that goes a long way.
Well, I personally am somewhat challenged because the company is sensitive to this, and yet since they're going from the macro to the micro, when they come up with messaging, they try to come up with what is acceptable. And yet, as you know, when you get to the local level, you've got to be really, really sensitive. And we are so diverse that we've got to try at least to be, to reach everyone. So we have been, you will see the language is a little bit different if you go on the national website versus when you are getting straight communications from local partners who, for example, the Allapattah Collaborative that have a large Dominican population that they're working with. St. La Community Center is also one of our partners. We do materials in Haitian Creole, and we make an effort to connect with the partners that know their community, that can help them understand their challenges, know whether it is language issues, it is literacy issues in some cases. And in some cases, you've got the mom and pops. I mean, they are hardworking, successful businesses, but at the same time are not ultra sophisticated when it comes to some of the documentation that's required in the United States. And by the way, let me just, while I have a captive audience.
I was just going to ask you about that. Like, what kind of, a lot of these folks may not necessarily know how to get it or what they need.
Let me just go ahead and share with you what folks are going to want to do is just go to ComcastRise.com. And when the application comes up, it is a fairly easy application in the sense that it is one of the, it's on a SurveyMonkey database and kind of walks you through it. Additionally, we have produced videos both in English and Spanish to walk people through it. And in that video, it tells you the documentation that you should have ready ahead of time. And it includes a copy of the company's W-9 the business owner's social security number or the company's EIN number, and then one of three documents, either your articles of incorporation, your tax ID, or your business license. So you need basically three types of documents, but they're not overly complicated. Nothing that will cost you money to get. Nothing that needs an attorney. It is about as simple as you can get. So we're hoping that by doing that also, we are, encouraging and making it as easy as possible for folks to apply. The other thing you should be aware of is that, one of the questions that you'll be asked is, well, tell us about your hardships, tell us the challenges that you've encountered during this pandemic. That it's also about the storytelling. Remember also, our company is sensitive to that because we are also the owners of NBC and Telemundo. So we know that those personal stories will make an impact on others. Once the awardees are selected, which by the way, they'll be selected in November, and then the awards will be given in December. In addition to also the cash grant, we have a consulting firm that will also do business coaching with the award recipients. Yeah. So we'll try to focus on helping them, grow their customer base and also focus on their financial stability and kind of help, shoring them up, for the
Marta,
next.
kind of trying to read between the lines. Are you kind of trying to let people know when they tell their stories to make sure that, they're juicy, they're impactful?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. If you went through a hard time, let the folks know. Let the folks know. There is a selection committee up in headquarters. They go through many of these, and they are looking for need as well. They're looking for need, and they're looking for that hardworking, diverse entrepreneur that needs a hand, and it works.
The last time in the last round, you said there were 100 winners basically in South Florida. Is there anything surprising about the demographics or that cohort of 100 businesses?
I wouldn't say so much surprising. I think in some ways, you and I, because we are out there and we know who they are, I am pleased that we are touching the right people. A few of them also, I'm glad to say it's not just, the older established businesses. It's some of the younger entrepreneurs that, have a great idea and are trying to make it. We had, for example, a t-shirt shop last year, a couple of partners, young partners in Broward that are trying to, or have launched a hard cider place,
Cool.
just the smaller projects that have been, some are unique in that sense. I mean,
I think that's a great point, that really, because maybe, younger folks or older folks might feel like, oh, they're never going to pay any attention to me, but it has nothing to do with it. I guess a good idea and the story of what's going on is really gonna propel them.
Absolutely. That's huge.
And I know you mentioned that the marketing parts of what you're doing and the other kinds of support like technology, and that there's funds and money for that. Where would and coaching? So there's coaching, marketing.
The coaching component.
Comes with the grant.
Yeah, the coaching component kind of goes along with this grant, and then the other track is the technical support, with the one piece that focuses on helping companies market themselves. So that'll be walking them through, trying to design messaging for television spots actually helping them design the create the TV spot. And also, we also have Effect TV, which is Comcast advertising division. So they will help create the plan and help teach basically the business owner, how best to select audiences, place ads, target messaging, and things like that. Things that, if you went to college and you got your basic business degree, you probably had a marketing class, you went through it, you got an inkling of that. But for the person who just hit the streets, started to work, it may be intuitive, but in the world we live in now, there are things like, for example, social media. Social media is something that may never have occurred to them. There is a big part of that involved in being a business person nowadays, is knowing how to market yourself via social media. So that would be one of the components. And then, of course, with the technology piece of the equation, accounting can be done online now. You've got management of your client list that can be done online now. And these are things that, perhaps if you just had to hit the ground running and start your business, you didn't have time to set up. So you will get coaching on how best to, approach those to meet the needs of your business and help it grow further.
And for those two, is there a different website, or is it still the Comcast?
No, it is the same one. It is Comcast Rise. And when you pull up the website, you will see two tabs. One that will be for the technical support services, and the other one for the Rise Investment Fund. The Rise Investment Fund is the cash, and the tech support services are the marketing track or the technology track. We refer to it as a tech makeover, basically, for the businesses. So those are the two ways to go. We're extremely proud to do it. As I said, we are fortunate because it is the second round in Miami. So this is our $2 million, into the community.
I remember, Marta, I remember you said you were surprised at the level of requests, the need.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that was relative to the overall footprint?
The company had kind of rolled out the program, and we do it by rounds. So they had already had one round in like 5 different cities, including, I believe, Chicago, Houston, I don't know where else. And really, when we do this, what we're hoping to do is get as many applications as possible. We wound up getting over 3,000 applications for 100 awards. Okay, so that kind of puts things in perspective. That's also why they came back to Miami. There's a need. There are plenty of diverse business owners here, and we want to help as much as we can, right?
I mean, it just sounds like, based on what you're saying, is there an opportunity here for like private-public partnership, where maybe some funds can be pulled down from state or federal or local? I mean, if you had 3,000 applicants, it just sounds, and these are legitimate businesses, minority-owned businesses.
Absolutely. There is right now, Damian, I mean, in addition to us, I know that during the pandemic, a number of companies did similar things. And the other thing that I would tell business owners to do, Miami-Dade County has an office for small businesses. Danilo, and I forgot, forgive me, Danilo, but I will get to the information so you can share in the future. But Miami-Dade County has an extremely good small business office, and they do a lot of outreach. And they have become sort of a clearinghouse, if you will, for a lot of this. You also have, chambers. The Miami-Dade Chamber right now does great things for their members. I'm not, Greater Miami Chamber is good, but I'm talking about the Miami-Dade Chamber, which is primarily in the African American community, and they do some wonderful things for their members, where they have, get-togethers and networking sessions, and we, bring programs like ours to them so that we can have conversations, and so that the small business owners can learn about the resources that are available to them. And I would, also encourage owners to just do some Googling in terms of just basic, small business assistance help that is available. And there are many, many programs right now. And the best part is you could combine these things. I mean, because you got one doesn't mean you can't go for the others as well. You can do a combination of things to sort of, help your business, get its second wind, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you think about it, because a lot of the folks in kind of that immigrate here don't have that culture of, I mean, I didn't even know that Miami-Dade County had a small business or a business office that you could
Right.
turn to.
Right.
I think that's a huge resource, and they're not used to thinking outside that box. I mean, most people are about, it's a family-run business, they work super hard, and it's what's in front of them.
Absolutely.
And why would they, they don't naturally think that there may be other things out there that could really support them. So this is really valuable, the information you're sharing.
Especially with an immigrant community like ours, where these resources are not available to them. So it doesn't even occur to them that it's available. I will give a shout out to the Alapata Collaborative, because I know that Mileika there, she has a specific program where she is helping the small businesses in the Alapata area. And that area is being hit with gentrification.
Yes.
Yep. And she has been working, we've supported them for a number of years to help them get up to speed and be able to compete, get their businesses online, get their records in order and things like that. And that is the kind of focus that is needed for many more of these businesses. So
I mean, I would think that a lot of these folks, they're not on social media, or they're not on, they're not tech savvy. That's a very low priority when you have to put food on the table and you're worried about, your core business.
Absolutely. And our culture is also very sociable, right? So we're used to word of mouth, and you go to the ventanita and you run into somebody, and that's how things.
The other thing, and this has always been a curiosity. I don't know if curiosity is the right word, but it strikes me that in our country we're still very xenophobic. If someone doesn't speak fluent our language, our English language, it's kind of like they're not an American, or they should be an American. And ironically, those folks that may not even speak English at all are extremely American and love the country and love the system. But you would think in the modern world, with the technology we have, it wouldn't be that hard to create, like easy translations and kind of make that barrier easier, so that they could actually become more culturally assimilated and more part and take advantage of these kinds of programs.
I think a lot of that is available, but I don't think that people are aware of it. And we are aware of it in Miami, again, because we're fortunate. The rest of the country is monolingual for all intents and purposes, whereas here, it's not just Spanish now with the growing Haitian community. Where you're cognizant of the Creole aspect.
Portuguese, there's a lot of European and German. We have a lot of different languages. I just it strikes me that a lot of times I'm sitting on committees, but if you don't speak English, you can't sit on those committees. So I feel like we actually don't have representation from lots of folks that have needs. So the youth of the world who are out there empowering the people who are kind of on the ground doing this are so valuable, because other than that, we don't, even though we probably should have, like in Star Trek, the little thing, I speak one language and it spits out the other one. Just making life easier. I've noticed on a lot of websites, they don't even have the translation button, where it's the easiest thing in the world. You just click over to English or German or whatever language it is. If I had a magic wand, it would probably be to make just Miami-Dade County multilingual. Just
that
as much
would
as
be the goal.
because it's so great for business and it's so great for tourism, and it improves the community. It makes easy for people to come in and out.
And actually for the young people, it opens the world to them. It really does. The more languages you have, the more access you have to information, people, culture, knowledge. It just it's just the way to go. Now I think that we also own Telemundo, so that is one of the things that I know they take very, very seriously, is the responsibility to their audience. And so they have come up with a series of, projects and programs to help people acculturate, if you will, not least of which is, and I believe I sent it to you recently, the voting information that is now available in Spanish so that folks can, educate themselves about the process, about the candidates, and understand that in this country, at least, you have a voice and a vote, and you should exercise them.
And is there financial literacy as well, or anything like that out there?
There is financial literacy. I believe also Telemundo has a partnership, and here I'm forgetting who it is with, but I believe they also do have a partnership. And there are a number of local banks as well that have a lot of the financial literacy components, and much of that is online.
Well, it strikes me that it's a conglomerate. So you have Telemundo, you have NBC, Universal, you have everything that you're doing, and sometimes on the outside for folks, I guess what the first step would be to go if you're trying to access all those resources in a way that's organized, what would you recommend?
We all sort of specialize in something, right? Telemundo, NBC, Universal are very much about sharing information and empowering people with information. I am on the non-sexy side of the business, which is the cable side, and we have taken up the flag to help everyone increase their knowledge and opportunities by having access to broadband technology, meaning the internet. So as you know, for the past 10 years, we have had a program called Internet Essentials for low-income families or individuals, which is $9.95 a month. That program has grown diametrically over the years, exponentially, I should say, and it is now, thanks to many public policy changes, combine that with what the government now has launched the Affordable Connectivity Program. And in essence, internet is now free for families in our community, for low-income families in our community.
And Marta, if someone's listening to us but they're not accessing that program and they think they qualify, where would they go?
Online to Google, put in the words Affordable Connectivity Program. Alternatively, you can go put in internetessentials.com. That will take you to the Comcast website, and you will see Comcast offerings for the internet. We have, for the low-income families, we have a combination to be clear, the ACP is a $30 a month subsidy from the federal government for low-income families and individuals. And if you apply those $30 to our services, we have a combined offering with internet and cell phones for families for $30 a month, which they are not paying. It's a government subsidy. So it's a combined, probably, free internet and either low cost or virtually no cost mobility, depending on what plan they choose with that. But the internet is free. The internet is free. And right now in our community, there are approximately 250,000 families that are eligible for the ACP program. And
Wow.
full transparency, Comcast is offering it, but there are 70 some providers in the state of Florida that make that available. It's a two-step process. You go into the ACP website, they give you a code, and then you go to the provider of your choice and, find out which programs they have for ACP. So right now, we should be looking to help every single family that does not have internet to enroll for this program. That is the soapbox that I am on, because it is critical. It is critical. Everything is done online. The kids, you saw distance learning, how far behind we've fallen when they don't have it. Not only that, it is a lifeline for parents, because parents can look for jobs online, can get training for jobs online, and sign up and receive their benefits because they have to enroll online. So everything right now has to go through the internet, and we want as many people to have that opportunity as possible.
Mm-hmm. So it strikes me that I have to ask you my magic wand question. If you had a magic wand, given your position and everything that you see, how would you use it? What would you like to see in Miami-Dade, South Florida?
Wow, that one is really, really tough. My magic wand right now would be used to unify our community.
Great.
I really think there's a lot of polarization out there, misinformation, miscommunication, and a lack of tolerance and understanding. So
wow.
That's what I'd use it for.
Great answer. I told you when we started, time goes fast, that we're out of time. But first of all, I just want to say Comcast is so lucky to have you. You do an amazing job. Just your ability to understand and work with so many groups and their needs, it's really incredibly commendable. So way to go, Comcast. and keep up the great work. And everyone else that's out there, thank you for joining us in the Forward Miami show. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Always a pleasure.